the Truth 2.0. And thanks for joining us live. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified and you don't miss any of our live videos when we go on air. So anyway, don't forget to become a member of Speak the Truth 2.0. Become a special friend. You know, we appreciate the support from all our subscribers. But the best part about our videos is when we speak afterwards. You know, our reactions are golden. So hang around, react to our videos, leave comments. And because we like to respond to the comments because our content be on point. But a lot of times, I guess, according to the title of the videos, because we do a lot of Trump videos, that they're long, so people don't stay to listen to the content, but the content is so valuable. But we're going to talk today about Biden versus Trump, comparing the 1994 crime bill. And we see that it appears that it might be a repeat of history. And that's what I'm concerned of. And like the Bible says, people perish for lack of knowledge. So when we don't look at our history and look at what's going on, that sometimes these administrators and people in leadership, they use the same playbook. They say it worked the last time, so let us do it again. So for people who aren't aware that Biden was the author of the 1994 crime bill, which caused mass incarceration of black people. Over 100,000 or whatever or more black people were incarcerated. Some for minor offenses, like just having a little bit of weed, they received life sentences. They built more prisons. They jailed a whole generation of black men. And then they label us as violent and thugs. And what I realize is that when you label black people like the president is doing right now, people don't differentiate between, this young black man that's in college. Because a lot of the assaults and the violence that's going on right now are towards like educated college students. They even been arresting like black lawyers. And everyone is a suspect that's black. So we don't want to go down that road again. So we're going to show the comparison between the Biden, who's a Democratic president, and now Trump, who's a Republican president. And like this election, I voted Republican because I didn't realize that the party that I was supporting was the party that was doing the most harm to the black community. I was fooled in believing that they were the Democratic Party was the party of the people, that they were for black Americans. And then I start realizing that every election, every 4 years, they're asking us to vote for them, making promises that were not kept. So they said they're going to give us an anti-hate crime bill. Didn't happen. John Lewis bill didn't happen. Everything that was promised to my community has never come into fruition. Like all the killings and the things that are happening in the community, it's been under the Democratic watch. So if they wanted to change, they could have done it. They opened up the borders and they were able to take 14 plus million homeless people and give them luxury apartments, healthcare, Medicaid, Social Security, free college, gave them education. They supplied all their needs, but then the black community, they won't fund the programs, but it was our taxpayer dollars that they used to take care of people who had entered this country illegally. So something is wrong with that picture. So if they wanted to do something, I'm aware of that they could have. And just like our homeless people that are displaced, that are Americans that are still on the street, if they wanted to help them, they can. They choose not to help our homeless people. So we're not beholden to any party. I'm not beholden. I think I'm just going to become an independent because I came over to the Republican side because my whole spirit about Trump was that, well, Trump is for all the people. He's for all Americans. You can't be about one segment of people. We all have to do well if you want to make this country ever to be great. We all have to be focused on moving in the same direction. That's the only way there will be one nation under God, because we're imploding right now. The things that are going on that's not being reported, and I'm going to bring all that out. that Trump keeps focused on the black community, but he's not focused at all on white crime and all these murders that are being committed by white people and white young men. He's not talking about the killing that happened in yesterday or the day before in York, Pennsylvania. 5 cops were ambushed. 3 died. 2, I don't know, they are still in critical condition because I haven't kept up what has happened since then. But they're not even releasing pictures of the person. If that was a black person that killed 5 cops, or I mean, killed 3 cops and critically wounded 2 others, they would have released the pictures. They would have been calling them violent, lock them all up. The National Guards, the FBI, the AFT, everybody would have been Homeland Security. Everyone would have been sent there. Everyone would have been immediately sent there. But this guy, they say he's 24 years old, and they're calling him an actor. They're not even saying his name, and he had taken out all these police officers.
You want me to read what Jacob said? He said something so dumb.
Well, I don't know. We want to get people on. If you want to entertain, but I want to get to, well, if you want to talk to us, because we've been having thousands of people in the chat and hundreds of thousands of views. So if you want your comment to stand out, you have to super chat us. And then we will respond to it and I will read it, because here it's about communicating. We can agree to disagree, but these are conversations that need to be had. 2025, we have social media everywhere. We have AI, we have Google, we have Twitter, that's now known as X. I don't know why I call it X. We have Ground News. We have every source of available to us to find out any information under the earth. So you can fact check everything, and nothing is hidden under the sun. What's in the dark will come out in the light.
Wow,
Yes.
Now Jacob is saying that he'll debate us all day long.
You know what? People have asked to debate us, but they actually have subscribers. They actually have a channel. There are people that I do want to have on this channel that we can, they have their viewpoint and we have our viewpoint, and I welcome that.
Yeah,
so if you don't have a channel, and if you don't have, because first of all, you have to speak in a clear, concise manner. I'm not going to bring someone on that's hot tempered and they don't have able to articulate their viewpoint without getting hysterical.
Now he said he'll sub if we are actually open-minded.
He'll what?
He'll sub if we're open-minded.
You can, subscribing is not a big, subscribing is fine. We want people to subscribe, but I'm not going to have someone because they subscribe. And another thing I'm doing on the channel, I'm bringing on Philip Peters from Birch Gold. And I'm invested in gold and silver. And he's like, they were advertising with Trump at one time. And he's been on Steve Bannon's show and Ben Shapiro and all those guys. So he's going to come on Speak the Truth 2.0. So I'm going to have guests on here that's going to benefit the people that's on here, because the dollar is deflating, is going down. And around the world, internationally, they're trying to decrease the value of the dollar. So internationally, the countries are buying gold. So gold or silver is really a great direction to go in. And so if it's good for Russia and Putin and them and all these other world leaders, then that's something that we need to look into, gold and silver, because the value of the dollar declines. So I am going to have people on the show that can bring that can edify the viewers, that can bring some substance, that can help you in your everyday life and in your investment. So that's what I'm going to do.
Jacob, I got to reply to you. So
I want to get this on. Go ahead. You got to come.
You're saying to ignore crime because for one race it's not statistically as high as another race.
I mean, I didn't hear your what's the point you're trying to make?
No, because he's saying why should we talk about the other crime when black crime is statistically higher?
And see, that's why we're doing this, because uneducated people like yourself that really don't look at what's going on and fact check, because you're absolutely wrong. And that's why we're doing this show. Just because someone keeps telling you the same thing over and over again doesn't make it true. That's called brainwashing. That's for you to believe their what they want you to believe. But in reality, white crime is the highest crime in the United States of America. They don't put on the news white on white crime that's going on. Cops are being shot down in the last few days. You had one cop 3 days ago. Okay, let's start with that. Trump don't talk about these things. A cop, and he said he loved police force. Let a black person shot a cop. It'd be breaking news all over the world. They shot a cop. This guy, he assassinated a cop. Now, they talking about Charlie Kirk. This cop was assassinated. He was shot in the back of the head 10 times. But he was shot at 15 times. But 10 bullets was shot in the back of his head. How many people saw this on the news, breaking news, on Fox News and all that they're talking about? The president didn't even talk about it. Then yesterday, the day before, you had York, Pennsylvania. These are white areas. White areas. York, Pennsylvania. A guy, 24 years old. They said his name one time and they're referring to him as an actor. An actor. That was a black person. This violent thug criminal. This guy needs to burn in hell. He needed to be torch. They would have said everything. He ambushed 5 cops, killing 3 of them. 2 are in critical condition, and I don't even know if they're still alive. But I'm going to say the last I heard, 2 is in critical condition. They're not even releasing a picture of him. His name they're hiding. That's the difference in that crime. School shooter goes in, kids are praying. President never even mentioned it. He doesn't even talk about it.
It's crazy.
This white guy goes with his rifle or whatever, goes to a school of children and proceeds to kill them. How many died? 2 or 3 died? And 17 others wounded, some critically wounded? And that's brushed under the rug. See, all this is going white on white crime, white, brush under the rug. CDC officer killed. Trump doesn't mention it. Another cop swept under the rug. Another white guy, Target. He in Target shooting up everybody. And then he hijacks a car or 2 cars. Of course, he's arrested with only way he got hurt was from the car accident, stealing cars, trying to get away. Just swept under the rug. Another white guy. 2 med students, black girls, 2 med students. And I think the brother. First he went and killed the brother. He lived in one place. The girls, they all college graduate. These 2 girls, now they in med school, both sisters, and talking to white neighbors. So he looked like he was really nice. He wanted to pet my dog. They act like it was no big deal. He took and killed those children. I could go on, and nobody's saying anything because it's brushed under the rug. It's kept low key, and they always say, "Oh, it was mental illness. Oh, they were trouble." But with us, we're thugs, we're criminals, and we're violent. And they highlight the one city like all black people are criminals, and that's a lie from hell.
Kevin, after everything your race has done to black people and the Native Americans, I'm pretty fatigued. We're the ones fatigued.
Okay, this is what's going to be later on. But if you really want to talk about being fatigued, okay. See, that's something that black people should be saying. That, of course, the script was flipped again on us.
He's saying he's pretty fatigued.
Yeah, I'm fatigued as well. I'm fatigued with no accountability, and I'm fatigued with white entitlement, and I'm fatigued with white fatigue that all that's been done to us, to have the audacity to act like we're supposed to say, "Oh well," and it's okay, and it's not. But this is something you want to hear.
After they've been murdered, when they did absolutely nothing wrong, you're pushing us to the limit. And what do I mean by that? You're asking us to talk about history, the history of the South. This is in Georgia. What happened in Georgia? There were savages in Georgia. It was the ancestors of the white right-wingers. They were absolute savages. They murdered people. They lynched people. They raped people. They enslaved people. They took babies from their mothers and sold them as property. You want to talk about savages? Your ancestors were the biggest savages the world has ever seen. So don't you dare call a black man a savage after you murdered him. Don't you dare do that. I'm so sick of African Americans being called violent when the world's worst violence was done to them, not by them, to them, not by them. For God's sake, you want to do racist stereotypes? If it fit anywhere, and it doesn't, but if it fit anywhere, it would certainly fit white right-wingers in the South who has hundreds of years of history of being savages. Savages. They snatched babies and they sold them as property and they raped their mothers.
Fed them to alligators too.
That's what they were. You want to talk about stereotypes? Screw all of you who still defend that Confederacy, that monstrosity. Anyone who defends that is a barbaric savage.
Oh, I wasn't funny.
Wow. I never thought I would see Chink ever talking like that. I don't know what triggered him, but he was triggered. And he was triggered more than we've been triggered. So all that flipping the script, like when what happened to Charlie Kirk, the first thing it was looking to say, like if a black person had did that to him, he was in a white Utah, white campus, and a white MAGA young man whose family MAGA was the one that shot him. But you know what happened, the aftermath of it? They didn't blame Tyler Robertson. They didn't blame the young man because they said it's only one person that pulled that trigger, and that was allegedly that young man. But the first thing they did was threaten 5 HBCUs, colleges. 5 of them were threatened for what happened because of the racism and the racist comments that goes on inside of this country. Black people didn't have anything to do with what happened to that young man. And what happened to him was tragic. He did not deserve that. He didn't deserve that. It was tragic. But black people didn't have anything to do about it. We had nothing to do with that, what happened to him. But guess what? A young man by the name of Tyler Reed at his college campus was found hung from a tree. 4,000 lynches have been done in this country against black people. And people that say that still stuff doesn't go on, yes, stuff still goes on. It still goes on. Black people shot in their back by cops. That happened today to a young man, 17-year-old little boy that was at a basketball court, and he was trying to go home. An AFT officer, I think this was in Pittsburgh, punched him in the chest. He tried to turn to run away. He's at the basketball court. I don't even know why this AFT officer was even there, and shot him in the back. He's no longer here. And the people screaming that that cop is the one that needs to be arrested for shooting a child. But that's what they can do. But they don't do it to the illegal immigrants. They have more protection than black people that's been here over 400 years. They can kick a cop, hit a cop, beat a cop, destroy their vehicles, throw stuff down. They did all that in Los Angeles. Nothing was done. We have never been able to do that and get away with it and live to tell about it. So stuff still goes on, but I jumped to that because of the comment that my son was saying. But I just wanted to show, stuff is still alive, and he spoke the truth. But we're going to look at Biden's 1994 crime bill, and this is when Trump was running against Biden, when he was running against Biden. So this is, let's see, we could go with this. And we're going to compare because, see, we don't want history to repeat itself. And that's the dangers of when Jesus said that you perish for lack of knowledge. You have to know your history or it comes back around. And it appears that the same playbook that the Democrats use on Black Americans is now being used by the current administration. And I hope that's not true, but we're going to compare and we're going to look at it because I didn't vote for the Democratic Party because then once I came to the realization that they were against the Civil Rights Bill, that they tried to filibuster for 70 days. They were the ones behind Clinton, who was the president that signed into law, but Biden was the author of the 1994 crime bill. He was the author of it, saying that, people would be more safe with black people locked up, so his white I don't know if he was talking about his mother or wife or whatever, that they would be safe to walk down the street or whatever the case may be. But white women, as far as I can see, they are not fragile and they are not these little frail creatures, because they are tough and they can hold their own. They can hold their own. So anyway, we want to look at the comparison, because if we don't, then we'll watch and we'll go along with the same playbook and spewing the same stuff. But all the stuff that's going on with Trump, I just put up his news conference in the Oval Office, where he was signing his executive orders, about his new gold card. But he was taking questions, and he's still talking about Chicago. But you're not talking about all this white on white crime that's plaguing the country right now. It's like they're not even releasing names of people who are shooting down cops. And I'm like shocked. Out of all people, law enforcement, and you're not saying anything, and you're saying the same thing, and you're trying to paint this picture that people look at all Black Americans the same way. I have 2 sons. They are not thugs, and they're not violent. One serves in the military. My daughter-in-law serves in the military. My uncles and my family are military. They're not thugs. All my family are well educated with PhDs, master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, associate's degree, educated. All of us. All of us are well-to-do. All of us all have single homes. All of us drive luxury cars. We all are that. We don't have any people per se that's been in jail or whatever in my family, but they can't distinguish between when you're a whole segment of people being labeled a certain way, and that's wrong. But the other people that's committing the same crimes are said they got mental illness. Like, mental illness is not in Black communities. We've been traumatized for a long damn time. And the script keep being flipped on us all the time, like making it like they the victims now. We're not even victims. No, we the victims. That's what was going on, and that's what the message that's been screwing the country for the last few years. But we're going to look at it because we want to have a country that's one nation under God, because I believe that we have bigger things to deal with, like Russia, India, and China. While we're imploding here and fighting against one another about stuff that we can really handle, and we can do it a way that's productive, locking people up is not the answer. It wasn't the answer with the 1994 crime bill, and it's not the answer now. This is just to fill up prisons at this point, or provide farm workers for the farmers that are complaining they don't have people to work their farms. And see, the answer is somehow to go to Black people. Go to Black people. So anyway, we're going to listen to Trump and Biden's debate on this.
To that, Vice President.
My response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is the guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who in the Central Park Five innocent Black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes that were suggested. Look, and talk about granted, he did in fact let 20 people, he commuted 20 people's sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
But why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you do it? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do, and you're going to do this. But you were there just a short time ago, and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know, Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response to that, and then I do have some questions for both of you.
Well, I tell you what, I hope he does look at me, because what's happening here is, you know who I am, you know who he is, you know his character, you know my character, you know our reputations for honor and telling the truth. I am anxious to have this race. I am anxious to see this take place. The character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some follow-up,
Excuse me.
please respond,
If
and then we're
this
going to have
stuff
follow-up
is
questions.
true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
Right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's
Take
President
the
Trump,
laptop
I want to
from
stay
hell.
on the issue of race. We're
Take
talking about the issue.
laptop from hell.
President Trump,
Nobody.
we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I
you've
have to
just...
respond to that.
Please,
Because look,
very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly what.
This is
told.
where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I
Russia.
want to stay on the issue of race.
You have to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President,
again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of race. Mr. President,
believe
you've
that one.
described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. You've shared a video of a man chanting white power to millions of your supporters. You've said that Black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a...
They were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
But what do you say to Americans who are concerned by that rhetoric?
I don't know.
by the
I mean, I don't know
videos?
what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of Black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. I mean, they can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark, but I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. He started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's getting rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys, last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy has a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
President Trump, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have a follow-up.
You made a reference to Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
You said
where
you're
did-
Abraham
No,
Lincoln.
where did that? No.
You said-
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the Black community.
And I'm
I
saying-
didn't say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the Black community. Now, you have done nothing other than the crime bill, which put
Oh, God.
tens of thousands of Black men,
that's true.
mostly in jail.
All right, let me-
And you know
let me
what?
a- let me
Then
ask
remember
Vice
it, because
President
if you
Biden
look
a
at what's
question.
happening with the voting right now,
Let me ask
they
Vice
remember
President
that you
Biden
treated them
about-
very, very badly.
The-
Just
the-
take a look at what's happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me give you a chance to respond within this context. Crime bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young Black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession They are sons, they are
Small
brothers, they're
amounts.
fathers, they're
That's what they're
uncles,
doing now.
whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change the sense, and particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for a pure drug offense. They should be going into treatment across the board. That's what we should be spending money. That's why I set up drug courts, which were never funded by our Republican friends. They should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what I'm going to get done, because I think the American people have now seen that, in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws relating to drug. But they were not in the crime bill.
But why didn't he get it done? See, it's all talk, no action with these politicians. Why didn't he get it done? That's what I'm going to do when I become president. You were vice president along with Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a lot of it done. We released 38,000. We got 38,000 prisoners left from.
You got nothing done.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison. There were over 1,000 people who were given clemency. In fact, we're the ones that put in the legislation saying we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running, to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
I just asked one question. Why didn't you do it in the 8 years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. You put tens of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why, Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President Biden, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
Wow. That was like this is what we're trying to avoid. And Trump is talking about what Biden did and with that 1994 crime bill. And then Biden is now saying that that crime bill was a mistake. But Joe DiMaggio and different people are saying the same thing. But it looked like we're heading down that same road again with calling black people thugs. They need to be arrested. They're violent, and black people are not the violent thugs that they're making us out to be. They're looking at what's going on in Chicago, which is there are 13 states with red states with higher crime rates than Chicago, but it's targeted. That's because that's a situation that the Democrats have neglected to do anything about, because they don't need to be jailed. They need help. That's mental illness. They need help. They need resources. They need to have opportunity. When you don't fund those communities and you don't have jobs, and the kids' fathers are in jail because of the 1994 crime bill, so they're running around the streets, and the only thing that they know is to do what their environment details. They're part of their environment. No one wants it to stop, because if they really wanted to stop it, it would have stopped a long time. Ended the killing, since that's the highlight of America. Not all, like Trump was saying on that video, how he felt about police officers and so forth. But you got all these police officers that are being gunned down on a daily basis, and he's not saying anything at all about it. But this is Mayor de Blasio that has something to say too about that 1994 crime bill
over the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, which was
we're
signed
having
into
a
law in
repeat in
1994.
2025.
Biden, who was a senator from Delaware at the time, wrote the legislation. It is the largest crime bill in U.S. history and increased funding for the hiring of police officers and the building of prisons. Here's Biden discussing the bill on the Senate floor before it was voted on in 1993.
We don't. They will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
Same thing Trump has said.
Madam President, we have predators on our streets. That society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Critics of
That's
the bill,
exactly
like Mayor
what
de
they
Blasio, have called it a mistake and say that it contributed to a mass incarceration crisis. And Mayor Bill de Blasio joins me now. Mr. Mayor,
Whole
thanks so much for
generation.
being with us.
Thank you, Elaine.
So, in an opinion column in Thursday's New York Times, Bret Stephens says Joe Biden should be proud of the crime bill because it helped make the country safer. You disagree with that. Why?
Yeah, Elaine, Bret Stephens wrote that column. He couldn't have been more wrong, and he absolutely ignored the hundreds of thousands of Americans unjustly sent to prison for long periods of time, the families torn apart, the effects of mass incarceration we are feeling to this day in New York and all over this country. And look, the crime bill was the foundation of that horrible era of mass incarceration. Look at the fact that so many people who had committed very minor offenses were sent away for so long. Look at the fact that the bill had a disproportionate impact on African Americans and Latinos, and again had a horrible impact on families that we're still feeling the effects of right now. That bill was a huge mistake, and we got to be clear about it, and we can never go back to mass incarceration. So, the nominee of the Democratic Party has to be someone who says very clearly, mass incarceration was a huge mistake, the crime bill was a huge mistake, we're going forward in a whole new direction. And the other thing that the whole column got wrong was New York City, we are safer every year. We're the safest big city in America because we moved away from mass incarceration. We're arresting a lot fewer people. We arrested 150,000 fewer people in 2018 than 5 years earlier, and we got safer. We're not punishing people and trying to send them away. We're actually trying to work with communities, particularly to help our young people lead productive lives. We're not treating them like predators, we're treating them like human beings. And it's making a huge difference, and that's making us safer.
Why do you feel that focusing on the crime bill and former Vice President Joe Biden, his support of the crime bill, is the political strategy that you want to pursue right now?
Look, a columnist in the New York Times today attacked me for saying out loud that the crime bill was a mistake. And that we had to end the era of mass incarceration. And to be fair, it was a conservative columnist, Bret Stephens. But he was telling Joe Biden to be proud of the crime bill, own it and say it was a great thing. That's a huge mistake. And I'm just speaking up and saying, no, that's an absolute misunderstanding of what happened over these years. New York City has gotten safer and safer because we moved away from that kind of divisive approach, that focus on arrest, that focus on mass incarceration. We got safer because we're actually trying to bring police and community together with mutual respect. And we are not going to allow people of color to be treated as if somehow they are lesser, particularly our young people. In this city, under my predecessors, there was stop and frisk for a long time. Young people, young men of color, were treated like they were guilty of crimes that they never committed, they had nothing to do with. And they were consistently portrayed in a negative light. We ended all that and started respecting our young people of color and our communities of color. And it's made us safer. It's led us to the situation that we can heal the wounds of the past and bring police and community together. But the columnist in the Times today was suggesting that, let's celebrate the crime bill, even though thousands and thousands of families were torn apart. And I'm not going to stand for that. I spoke up and I said that's an absolute misunderstanding of history. And look, Vice President Biden was one of the people who brought us that crime bill. He needs to own up to that.
While we have you, I'd also like to ask about Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Wednesday remarks.
Yeah, so that 1994 crime bill was so damaging when people they care more about that was years ago. That was I think that was when Biden was first running for president against Trump. So the thing about it is that the words and the concept then, and black people were on board. They were convinced. The NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, Reverend Jesse Jackson, all these different people, that leaders during that time of the 1994 crime bill, they always tell them this was a great thing until this happened. That they start taking young people for the minor offenses, minute offenses, and they put them in jail for a long time, and they kept them in jail. And that tore apart families. Now, when they talk about the illegal immigrants come here, they scream and bloody murder. Oh, they're going to be separated from their families. But black people, since we've landed here in America, brought over here, were ripped. Our families were ripped apart from the beginning. They would take our children and sell our children. They would take our babies away from us. They would do anything they wanted to Black Americans that were enslaved at that time. They actually were feeding even some of the babies I heard to alligators. The most horrific things that you could ever think of, other than being lynched and whipped to death and all, everything that was done to us. And they act like, none of these things, they want to act like none of these happened, but they did. It's history. And that's why it's good to know your history, because you don't want history to repeat. And Biden had to own up to it. Like what he did, he had to take ownership of it, because then he saw the results of it. And they look at the children today. Some of these kids' fathers, or maybe perhaps even grandfathers right now, are still in prison from minor offenses. They were given sentences like you would never think of. Just for minor. We're talking about as minor as possible. You're getting life sentences. They were told to keep them in. Biden said his role
He's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators. And they have never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill, the super predators.
Your response to that, Vice President?
My response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying.
He did
the fact
say
of
that.
The matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is a guy who said the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not. Get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who, in the Central Park five innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes that were suggested. Look, and talk about granted, he did in fact let 20 people, he commuted 20 people's sentences. We committed over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
Crime bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, their fathers, their uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote?
So that right there in itself, in a nutshell, was like a lot. So we're showing like the Democratic side, because we want to show that it looks like we're trying to do the same playbook. Biden did call black young men and black people, he said that they were beyond the pale, they were super predators, that in order for, I guess, the white women and stuff to be safe, to walk down the street, you need to lock up the black people because they are violent and, and they're criminals. And the people that were being locked up did not commit these crimes. They were being locked up for minor offenses. They weren't murderers and rapists and all these other things that you would think would get those type of sentences that were given to them.
Someone said Hillary said super predators.
Yeah, she said super predators too. So, and then Kamala, she did her part of locking up black people. So it's like, it's just a continued cycle that goes on in the black community, and the people that we entrust and the people that we try to elect to office so that they would be fair. We're not asking for special treatment. We just want it to be fair. That's it. It's not fair. It's not fair. When you sweep other crimes committed by white people and other ethnicities under the rugs, but then you take black people and you say, look at them, look at what they're doing, but you know that you're causing it. You're pulling resources out of the community, so they're not making an income. If you're not making an income, guess what? After you get hungry for a while, you're going to steal. You're going to rob. Those are the things that happens when opportunity isn't there. That's why if black people did receive reparations, then there wouldn't be any need, and they know it, because everybody would have equal footing. Everyone would be on their feet. They would be able to, start their businesses. They buy houses, buy homes, because we poured back into America. We already spent $1 trillion into this economy. But that's just showing what Biden did. But I see Trump is using, now that was the Democratic side, and it was so impactful. How the crime bill impacted America was horrific, what happened. And now Trump is saying the same things that he accused Biden of saying and accused Biden of doing. When that Doge employee had gotten beaten up, all hell broke loose, because that was Elon's guy. All hell broke loose. Now we need the National Guards. And mind you, crime is down everywhere. Trump don't want to hear it. Crime is way down. Crime is down. But he doesn't want to hear it. Crime wasn't like that in D.C. What is it, just safe for white people to go to restaurants? You don't want black people going to restaurants? Like if you don't see black people, now everyone is safe? Because I don't see no little frail, scary white women. White women are not these frail people. They are tough. And they can stand 10 toes down. This is 2025. They are not timid. And I don't know what they think. Even the women that serving with Trump in his cabinet, they carry guns. Those women are not no little frail, timid women. Those women are packing. They are tough. And the thing about it, a lot of white women are marrying black men. They're marrying black men. White men are marrying black women. How a lot of families are blended. They're not scared of black people. It's not true. It's untrue. I don't see any white people walking around like they scared or whatever. They you heard the Karens and stuff. These white women coming up to you, they fussing at anybody and everybody. So it's not even true. But that's one side. That was showing Biden. And that's the thing how I supported Trump. I said, what Biden did to a generation of black people, they kept our population down. They put Planned Parenthood in our neighborhoods. They planted drugs in our neighborhood. Then they want to put us in prison for the drugs that they planted in our neighborhoods. All this stuff is by design. This stuff, by the time we catch up and find out what's going on, the damage has already been done. This stuff don't happen by chance. This stuff is planned out. They sit around, they plan this stuff out decades ahead of time, and now we finally catch up to what's going on. Like the problems that they had caused, then we're punished for it. We're punished for it. So now you want to go in every black community, and every black person you see, you want to arrest them. Not that they're committing a crime. They're not catching people committing crimes. They're looking to arrest people. Citizens, American citizens. Our military is supposed to serve and protect us from threats overseas, not to be sent out and used against Americans. We have police that's supposed to, they know how to police. The military, AFT, Homeland Security, FBI, they're not police. They're not trained to police American citizens. That's how a little kid got shot in the back today.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of stupid comments.
Well, we got to get some other moderators, because, see, the people don't want to hear the truth. But this is called Speak the Truth 2.0. This is not about red or white and blue. This is about speaking the truth and communicating. Because we all know what's out here. We all really know the truth. It's all in the history. is all you could fact check everything. And if you're not from America, you can go to ground news. We have social media now. You can find out anything you want to find out.
AI.
You got AI. You can even go to channels that they'll talk about what you want to hear about people putting down the black community. You got black people, they know that white people are going to support their channels, get hundreds of thousands of views, make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month just for putting down their own race. That's not this channel. Because I don't answer to y'all, I answer to God. And I have to stand before God one day and give an account of my life. And so do you. So I'm not going with the okie doke. And I'm not a people pleaser. And I don't care if someone like me, if someone don't like me. You know, I've never been like that. People, you don't let people define who you are. But the only way that we could be one nation under God and bring this country together is to speak the truth and to put it out there. And that was Biden. And that's why I was leaning more towards Trump, because I thought his objective was for all of us to do well, not to fire federal work, everything that's been transpiring. It's been kind of hurting America, to me, American workers and people that's trying to make a living. But I hope that what he's doing, I'm believing that he will turn around. These countries keep their promises. Saudi Arabia, the prince, and Qatar president, all of them, they said that they're going to put like $1 trillion in this country, put factories and, Taiwan and Hyundai and what?
No, and the biggest problem for black men and Hispanic men in America is jail.
So these are the things. And see, the things that Trump said about Biden, it's like he's saying the same thing. Like he went on and he's like, once those teenagers beat up that guy, but he didn't say nothing about people being actually murdered by white people. He didn't send the National Guards to those states. That people not beaten up, but actually being murdered. He got rid of encampments. He threw homeless people, Americans, away in Washington, D.C. like they were trash. They just threw them away. They didn't even set up some sort of housing like we did for the legal immigrants. They didn't set any, they just came to the encampments. And if you really keep up with stuff, you could look and see that they were, like the social workers out there said, they're like 2,000 beds short. They had nowhere for people to go. And you're going to take the only shelter they have, and you're going to, because it doesn't look good to you, but that was everything they had. So that was like that side of it. And what I'm doing now is I've talked to Congressional Black Caucus. I've called the NAACP. I've talked to both of them. And next is the ACLU, because we can't stand around, because when good people don't say anything, that's how evil happens. You have to speak up for the homeless. You have to speak up for the less fortunate.
Do you know that people have went to jail who actually didn't commit the crime? You could ask Kamala about that, and people have went to jail for minor offenses thanks to Joe Biden's crime bill. It's more that goes into that, the going to jail.
Targeted.
Yeah, targeted.
Black people are not committing more crimes, but we're arrested 5 times more, and the cops have an okay that you can handcuff a black person behind their back with face on the ground, and they could shoot them to death behind, and they would say that was self-defense. That's what happens in America for black people. But we're not going to allow them to hide all the news, that all this white on white crime is going on. They're shooting cops left and right, and they're protecting them. How do you protect someone that just killed 3 cops in York, Pennsylvania? All white town, not black people. And you won't even talk about the person, won't say their name, won't release pictures. You're going to protect this evil, wicked person, this thug, this criminal, and you say you love the police, and you won't say nothing about how they lost their lives. How they lost their lives. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so now we did the Democrat side, and now Trump, even today, with his Oval Office, he saw about Chicago, but he did not mention about these cops, 3 cops, 5 shot, 3 cops that lost their lives. He didn't say nothing about that. He didn't say nothing about this shooter that killed those children at school. He didn't say nothing about this other cop that was shot 10 times in the back of his head. These are white people doing this. He ain't say nothing about the med students that was killed, gunned down by some white kids. He's not saying about Evergreen High School, that white shooter. The same time Mr. Kirk was assassinated, unfortunately assassinated. That just went. They didn't even talk about it. I saw it the first day, but you had to find it. There wasn't no breaking news about the school shooting. It was no breaking news. Charlie Kirk was more known, but those were children. Those were children. School shooting, mass school shooting, swept under the rug. Swept under the rug. And he's talking about crime in Chicago. But it's more crime in 13 red states have more crime than Chicago, but because it's black, but every state you want to send them to is just with black people because we're labeled. He already labeled us as thugs. And that's the problem, because you don't need the president labeling, especially Americans that have voted for him and supported him. And I do not believe if he continued down this road that Republicans are going to get the black vote next go around, because I've been on other lives. I'm saying, how we're going to support Trump and the Republican Party in 2026, 2028. And now all this stuff been going on. No, dog, it ain't going to happen. You can't start going that down. You want to reduce the age like Clinton did to 14 years old. You want to throw our children in jail at 13, 14 years old, not to commit murder or rape or anything like that, but you want to lock them up because you said they might do future offenses. So let's keep them in jail, take away the life God gave them. How is that even law that you can incarcerate someone that haven't committed crimes that warranted the time? That's an issue. That's a big issue. And black people, just in case people don't know, we do not lead crime in the United States of America, even though we're arrested more because you're arrested because you're targeted, you're black. And that's a fact. My son even say that he feels like unease more.
Yeah.
Of what's going on, because he feels like with that label, people look at him differently. Because it's not just for District of Columbia, it's for black young men or women, black women throughout the United States. When you put that label, then all communities will look like that. They're going to go in the store, they're going to steal. No, we go in the store, we don't steal anything because God said thou shalt not steal. You shouldn't feel like a criminal walking in the store and your whole intent is only to make a purchase, but the other people of different ethnicities are the ones stealing, but you're the one that's being watched, so they can steal whatever they want to. So we're the decoy. That has to stop. We have integrity. And we're not just barely making it. And the way that they put it out there, you would think that we're all that way, and we're not. And that situation is not solved by going back to this freaking mass incarceration. It's not black on white crime. They can resolve that. And just like Joe DiMaggio, the former mayor of New York, was saying and then Joe Biden admitted that was wrong. They have ripped apart, talking about ripping apart families. That was wrong. And nobody can justify that. And everybody got something to say. Is Hispanic crime, Asian on Asian crime, white on white crime, black on black crime? It's your community. It's in every community. Yes. I'm going to get ready to do Trump now. That was Joe Biden. What? What? Is it time?
Yeah.
Yeah, what time is it?
It's 10:17.
Yeah, you can take it. Yeah, so now this is like what Trump was saying. President Trump calls out the born to be criminals running around America. So all the white people running around mass shooting and brawling and fighting. I got video fighting and doing all kinds of stuff throughout the country. That's all ignored. All ignored because you just want to make it like black people are the issue, and we're not. We are not the threat to America. We are not the threat to America. And we're not going down that road again. We are not the threat. There's a lot of people with them open borders that have entered this country that most definitely more a threat than black people. But even if they weren't here, we are not more of the threat. We're not the biggest threat of America. It's the ones that say that we are, have always been the threat. It's not us. And now we're going back down that road again. And I'm surprised because this is like
Criminals. You know, we took many people off the street.
This is the opposite of what Trump was talking about a few years ago.
These are hardcore criminals. You know, we took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be criminals. And they're tough and mean. And they'll cut your throat. And they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place. And you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband. He was a football player for like 11 years in the NFL. He's a big person. But big doesn't mean anything when they have guns and when they have knives and everything else that they have, right? But you can walk right down the street, even by yourself, and you're totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a great thing. Yes, ma'am, please.
Mr. President, as you calling on Democratic leaders across the country to work with you on crime, do you see your efforts here in D.C., including, for example, working with Mayor Bowser here as a model for bringing more bipartisanship in matters, not only with crime, but also issues that matter to everyday American people's lives?
So Mayor Bowser's been great. She could have taken the thing, oh, well, and then after I clean it up, they'll take credit for it. You know what they do is they take credit. Like, we cleaned up Los Angeles. We did a great job there. And it was overwhelming what was going on. And again, the police chief made a statement that we could not have done, there's no way they could handle it. You saw what was happening out there. It was going to be a disaster. We stopped it cold. If we didn't do that, it would have been a very sad day. And you know, remember, we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, we have all these things coming, and we have 250, all of these things coming. But I watched Newsom get up and say he's doing the great. He's not, we're the ones that did it, and that's okay, whatever it takes. But the main thing is but he got up and said, we did it. Well, he didn't want us there. And he's going to need us again because it's starting to form again. I see it. It's starting to form again. You know, we have to maintain. It's like maintenance on an airplane. You can buy it, but you have to maintain it. And if you don't maintain it, a good plane becomes very unsafe very quickly. So it's an honor to do it. It's a lot of presidents wouldn't do what I'm doing. I don't need this heat. But when I watched television last night and I'm watching the news and I see that 9 people were killed in Chicago and 54 were badly wounded with bullets, I say, that's not this country. We have to do something. And I do say this, I say this very much. I'm not speaking to anybody but them right now. I would love to receive calls from governors and mayors saying they need help. We'll help them. We have a lot of people. We have a great force. We have a great military force. You know, people will tell you that when I was running for office, and this was a big headline, I think, you know, probably got me a couple of votes, but you couldn't sign people in the military. Nobody wanted to join the military, the Army, Air Force, any of the Navy, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard. We never forget Coast Guard because they've done such a great job. Never. But nobody wanted to join any of them. We were way below what we wanted. Every single one. The closest was the Marines, whatever that is. You'll explain that to me. But the closest was the Marines. But every service was way down, way down. And then I got elected, and our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. Everybody's talking about the USA. They're talking about the job that we're doing. Everybody, we have the best economy. We have a very, very important decision being made by the Supreme Court because our country is the richest, the strongest, the most powerful. But if for some reason some liberal court, I'm talking about the court that just ruled, where even an Obama judge voted in favor of us, which I gave him a compliment yesterday, as you know. I said that took great courage. But it's a liberal court, and it's going up to the Supreme Court, who I think have been incredible people. I think they've made very wise decisions.
Yeah, so that's like President Trump. He calls out, they're saying that black people, I guess in general, are born to be criminals. When you blanket a whole community of people making that type of statement, that's a false statement. We didn't bring ourselves, we didn't enslave ourselves. We didn't have to drink from different water fountains or sit in the back of the bus or in restaurants. You couldn't eat there, or being victimized since we've been in this country. And even in 2025, it's like, even after the 1994 crime bill, still trying to repeat history. Like, want to label black people when majority of black people are not criminals, are not thugs. We're not thugs. We're not born to be criminals. We're articulate, intelligent, educated people. And we do take advantage of our opportunities. We're not walking around, all of us barely making it. Yes, we've been deprived in certain communities, and it's intentional. It's all intentional. The Democrats been in office for 12 of the last 16 years. They could have passed all kinds of anti-hate crime bills. They could have done so much for the black community, but they chose not to. It was a Republican Party that had done more for the black community. I don't know what's going on now with Trump. And I'm really, like, people say, oh, he's been racist, he's been like this and all of that. And we had so much going on inside of this country. I did not see him coming to do a replay of the 1994 crime bill, that he would go on his Truth Social and go on national TV for the world to hear him saying that black people were born criminals, and he's going to clean up crime. Now, crime is down everywhere, but you're only talking about cleaning up black communities, but you're not trying to arrest those young white boys that's out there mass murdering people. Yeah.
A lot of people are, I just will say this, because a lot of people are saying in the comments that Trump didn't specify black people.
This is democracy now.
He is talking about black people.
Yeah.
That's exactly who he's talking about. The whole thing, the communities that he's targeting, he's going into black areas targeting black people. He doesn't have to say that. He's going into black communities targeting black people. Even Mayor Bowser in Washington, D.C. was telling black people there that you're being targeted, that you have to watch yourself. But you could be in your car trying to go to work and you can be stopped and harassed and questioned. They have people sitting on their own steps at their homes being questioned. Like, you can't sit on your own, in front of your own house. So they had black lawyers walking wherever they was going to go on for a walk. They were being stopped and actually detained. But thank God, they're lawyers. They know the law. But you have college students trying to just go to school. Everyone was being stopped. People are getting records that shouldn't even have records. And there's probably going to be a lot of lawsuits. What's going on? But then they use the military against American citizens. That wasn't Washington, D.C. was not a state of emergency.
And to the people in the comments, there's other ways
And then you didn't do nothing. What was it, January the 6th?
Yeah.
When they really tried to overthrow the government and he was the president, but no National Guards were even dispatched, deployed?
To the people in the comments, there's other ways to stop the crime than the National Guard.
No one has used the and not just in the District of Columbia. You want to send it to every black community in this country so you can fill them prisons back up. Because prisons is a business, just because you guys don't know it. Part of the 1994 crime bill were to build more prisons. Build more prisons. There's money in prisons. If you guys don't know it, there's stocks in prisons. They need bodies in prisons. Keep the black population out. Keep the men locked up. Having them raped in prison. And for God knows, I don't know why people not being prosecuted for raping men in prison. Raping them. Rape is against the law irregardless. If you're already in jail, paying for your crime, and you're doing the time, and some unjustly, and then you're being raped, and nothing is being done about it. But with the immigrants, you want to go find out what their conditions are. But those same damn politicians not running to these American prisons. Just look at those conditions and what's going on, because it's not newsworthy, because it's black people. See, when you have people labeling, they take and they make it that it's not important. It's not important. It's not newsworthy. But that has to change. And now Trump is doing the same 1994 playbook. Oh, now you white and you can walk down the street now. Okay, y'all don't need our black business, our black money. We need to be black united. Black united. Keep our money in our neighborhoods, in our businesses, and don't patronize these businesses and see how they fare. Don't patronize. Don't buy from the companies. That's what we need to do. Because if black people go into restaurants, then all of a sudden you're not safe if they patronize a restaurant.
That's another.
If I go into the restaurant, I've never felt like that in my life. I go in a restaurant, and now what? You're unsafe. I'm unsafe.
That's another curse word that I'm seeing people starting to use. They're using slang to say a derogatory term.
If they do, then report them.
Okay.
If somebody is doing something, if you can speak in a clear, concise manner, if this is too heavy for you, then jump on a stream where they're going to say what you want to hear. That's what you do. You don't have to be on here. We still do have freedom of speech here in America. If you can't handle the truth, which some people can't. They can't handle the truth. They want you to tickle their fancy or say what they want to hear. But I'm not beholden to you. I'm beholden to God. I serve God. I don't serve man. I got to answer to God. This time I voted Republican. Next election, what's going on now, frankly, I don't know how I'm going to vote. I'm not going to vote against my own best interests. I'm not going to vote against when I feel like my black community is being unjustly attacked, when there's crime happening in all communities that's not being highlighted. They're not being called thugs. They're not being called that they were born crazy. What about all these mass murders and these people killing all these kids, these young white guys? How come they're not being called thugs, or they were born to be criminals? Yeah. How come that's not being said? You have to do what's right. And President Trump is wrong. And like I said, I agree with at least 98% of everything that he's been doing. But I'm going to call him out when I don't agree, and I do not agree with this. But that does not mean I don't support what he's trying to do as far as build this country back up. That's why I voted for him, because I felt like that we were heading towards World War III. And I felt like the people that was running against him were incompetent. That's why I voted for him. But that does not mean that everything he says that I'm going to go along with it. His wife doesn't go along with everything he says, and neither do I. But for him to label community and tell my born criminals, and he got white men standing behind, they smiling and grinning, J.D. Vance and yeah, that's a lie from hell. That's a lie from hell. We have never been a threat to America. Black people have, let me make myself perfectly clear. Black people have never been a threat to America. We have built this country. We have sacrificed for this country. We've been enslaved by this country. We went through hell through this country. And God, Lord knows, we've been traumatized by this country. And they don't never label us with mental illness. We need therapy too. But we have to do right. And I don't want people to tell me they're a Christian. Christian is not just a word, it's an action. You got all these fake Christians telling me I'm Christian and Christian, but then look how you treat your neighbor. Look how you treat people that are around you. You think it's an all-white section in heaven? Really? You think that God gonna listen to all this rhetoric that you had to say and think you were right? And there's no all-black section? There's no all Asian? There's no all indigenous, Indian, whatever your nationality, whatever your ethnicity is. The only thing God made different about us is pigmentation. And it's because of where we live at, our climate. The white race only came around, like they said, like 10,000 years ago. The majority of the world have color. He gave us pigmentation. That's a beautiful thing. But our brains and our eyes, we all have two eyes, nose, two ears, mouth, two arms, hands, feet, legs. All our internal organs are the same. Nobody is smart, have a smarter brain. He has given us all the same capabilities. It's all according to your education. That's all according to your education. All according to your education. And people perish for lack of knowledge. And I know people don't want to hear what's right. And I know if I was like some of these other channels, I'll be calling them out, these other channels who are black content creators, all they do is slam and trash the black community. They be calling us names. They be talking about black fatigue. They go right along with you. And they go, but I'm not about that because I can't, because the Christ in me. I can't do that. They do that for money. We don't get paid on this channel. Not like we should. We don't make nothing. And we have nothing. We don't make anything. But they care about having their viewers or their subscribers because they making, the more they talk about black, their own community, themselves, and put themselves down like they not part of the black race, the more money they make online. And there's a lot of them on there. They do it for a living. And I could name them right off, run it off. The ones that they sell out. That's what they do. I don't think anyone should do that for their community. You should look to help your community. Make it better. And what Trump is doing is he's doing what Biden did. And it didn't work then, and it's not going to work now. They already tried that. It just rips families apart. They tried that. And they want to arrest black people. Now they want the children. Minor offenses. He's telling me we're born to be criminals. Ain't that something? That we were born to be criminals, but we've been criminalized since we've been here in the United States of America. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, anyway.
To condemn Trump's crackdown, we're joined by Justin J. Pearson, Democratic Tennessee State Representative. State Rep, thanks so much for being with us. If you were one of the people who spoke out against the National Guard deployment, why?
This is an abuse of power by the Trump administration. It is moving us from a democracy to an authoritarian regime led by a wannabe dictator. We cannot normalize the behavior of the nationalization of the federalization of the National Guard against our own citizens, against our own communities. If they really wanted to address the problems of crime, they would address billions of dollars of disinvestment as it relates to eradicating poverty. They would make sure that we do something about gun safety laws, but this is not about that. This is about taking away our power, targeting and attacking Black-led majority cities and destroying our democracy for their own political gain.
And Representative, on Monday, President Trump met with your Governor Bill Lee, with the two U.S. Senators, Marsha Blackburn and Bill Hagerty. And Governor Lee said, I've been in office for 7 years. I'm tired of crime holding the great city of Memphis back. But this is really in contrast to the plummeting crime rate in Memphis at a 25-year low. Would you talk about that?
Yeah, the statistics do not net out for what they are articulating, but Governor Bill Lee has been governor for nearly 8 years and has never once presented a plan to reduce and eradicate poverty in Memphis, Tennessee, has not fought for any legislation to reduce gun violence and have gun violence prevention laws against his own party. He's not exercised the political will or the desire to address any of the root causes and the systemic problems that we have. This is giving Donald Trump and this administration more power to take over communities that they disagree with, that are Democratic led, for their own political gains. And this gets much more scary for some folks when it's an election season and the National Guard is going to be posted up in front of our polls. That's going to happen at the midterms. That's likely to happen during the presidential election. This is not what is supposed to be happening in our country. And we all need to be unified and realizing that this is nothing more than a power play for more authoritarianism from this administration.
Justin J. Pearson, you've talked about Trump manipulating racist rhetoric to perpetuate false claims of rising crime waves in cities like Memphis. Elaborate.
Absolutely. Look, it is no coincidence that the cities that Donald Trump and this administration are targeting have been overwhelmingly Black-led cities. Karen Bass in Los Angeles, in Chicago, sought to attack Baltimore, now here in Memphis. The idea of Black criminality is something that has been perpetuated by racists and white supremacists like Donald Trump for centuries. And so it is not new to us. It is not unfamiliar that Governor Bill Lee is perpetuating this. Marsha Blackburn, Bill Hagerty are also perpetuating the lie about Black criminality and not taking accountability or responsibility for taking away access to healthcare, eliminating SNAP benefits through the big ugly bill that just recently passed, transferring wealth to the richest people in the world and taking from the poorest people, and then dealing with those consequences. They say, well, you all are the problem. It isn't the policies we push. It isn't the laws that we've done to make it harder for you to live and to survive. It is you. It is you Black folks who are in power that are the problem. It is not the policies and the laws and our inaction that is the consequences that you all are dealing with. And today we are dealing with the consequences of people who are in positions of power who do not care about our lives, who do not care about our communities, who don't care about eliminating poverty. They don't even care about crime. They're doing this as a part of an authoritarian regime to take more power and to see how far we are willing to go to allow them to destroy our democracy. And in Memphis, in Shelby County, we are saying no.
Thanks for
I don't
watching
know.
Democracy Now! And
I
you
don't know what's going on, but I'm like shocked. I didn't expect this, like Trump's first like 8 months or 9 months, that I was so proud of Trump. I was like, wow, Trump is like really that guy, that he's a boss. I mean, he was traveling to Saudi Arabia, bringing, building up the economy. He was like muscling the other countries internationally with the terrorists, like trying to make it more fair, because they have been taking advantage, he said, of the United States of America. Like, well, even with prescriptions, like we would charge like $1,000, and in UK they're charged $200 for the same drugs. And then he's talking about $500 billion from Apple, and like all these different people that he's bringing to invest. But then first wave was the Doge came in, and they were talking about going to be all these cuts, they was going to find all this money, but it didn't happen. But then they fired like hundreds and thousands of federal workers, lost their jobs. Those are American jobs. I thought he was bringing American jobs, but they lost American jobs, which didn't help the economy at all. But now those people lost the ability to take care of their families. So I was kind of shocked when that started. I said, okay, but he's going to be bringing more into the country, and like some of the things that are going on. And then like, okay, we closed the borders. That was like a tremendous accomplishment to finally close those borders, because they were flooding people in that we had to take care of, because they came into this country with nothing. So, but they were put on the doorsteps of American citizen taxpayer dollars. We was already funding the war in Ukraine. We were helping out the war with Israel in Gaza. So we was giving $40 million a week cash payment by the administration to the Taliban. So we got all this money going out, but they don't have no money for the black community to help what's going on in the black community.
Bucky, this was not a promise that Trump made when running for president.
You know, they I don't know if you want. I don't know what you're talking about. You want to elaborate?
Promise it made, promise it kept. You need more education.
You know, so there was like a lot of things that we were like hopeful, because you want the best, because what was going on in this country, it wasn't going to last. We were not going to be the world leaders if they had gotten into office. The biggest threat is outside of this country, not as much as inside of this country. I believe the biggest threat is the second most powerful country in the world, which is Russia, followed by China and India. I think those world powers are collaborating and coming together. Putin is not even listening at all to what Trump has to say in regards to Ukraine. I think they even went into Poland, dropping some drones on them. Poland. And we're allies to Poland. And EU are buying Russian oil. Trump is trying to put sanctions on Russia, but the EU, that's supposed to be supporting Ukraine, are buying Russian oil.
Yeah, God bless you, Donna.
So, like, it's a lot that's going on, and we're so focused on what's happening here that doesn't call for the National Guards. It could call for more resources for the police department, who's trained to go into communities and work with the communities. But National Guards are soldiers. They're not trained to deal with the public. The FBI, they need to be chasing down them 350 terrorists that's in this country. And Trinidad Raga, MS-13, we got a lot of other stuff going on. But they're walking the streets of $1 million a day in Washington. Trying to find people to arrest. Trying to find people. They've been trying to find people to arrest so Trump can have the numbers to justify, that's why, we need it. We safe now. Who's safe? Who are you trying to say safe? Who are the people that are safe? That's what the game is. That's what's going on. So after the 1994 crime bill, which I was unaware that Biden was the author, who I campaigned for, who I met with, who I supported, all of them, from DiMaggio, all these people. I've been in rooms with them, met with them, talked to them. Biden, I got videos right now I could put up, and I could put up so much to show all the people that you see on TV I've been in the room with and conversation, because I was representing the people that I was working for as a legislative director, the hundreds of thousands of people. So I've given speeches the whole 9 yards. And even with all that, I didn't know all the harm that the Democratic Party were responsible what has been going on in the lives of Black people. I had no idea, because generation after generation, all we do is vote for Democrats, straight down ballot. Oh, you got to vote Democrats. The Republicans, they're against us. Black people, they're racist, they're white supremacists and all of that. But they're in the Democratic Party too. They have kept Black people down. We've been more harmed by the Democratic Party than the Republican Party. So now I say, okay, let me go over here. As soon as I come over here, this is like a disappointment to me, to hear what Trump is saying and doing to the Black community, the very thing that he was just spewing about what Biden did to the Black community, calling us super predators and beyond the pale, and how he incarcerated Black people. Trump was just saying it. That's why I put the videos up for the show, y'all. And now he's doing the same playbook. He's doing the same thing. And he's using the military to go into all the, and now he wants them armed military. So he wants the soldiers to go in and what? They already shot someone today, Black teenager playing he's playing basketball, and one of them going to go to punch him in the chest, and he's trying to leave and shot him in the back. 17-year-old child.
A solution to the problems is do what that mayor and
It was. Dude, yeah, and when you have black mayors and you have the black governor, West, the crime went down 62%. Trump doesn't want to hear it.
do what he does.
And they already tried the 1994 crime bill, which was an injustice done to the black community.
And also,
It was an injustice, and it was evil, and it was wicked. And here, if you don't know, it happens again. And everybody went along with it because they would say, "Oh yeah, you'll be safer if black people are in jail. Oh, you'll be safer." They did all that bullshit, and black people were co-signing it.
Yeah.
Now we see it.
And I forgot,
not this time.
And I forgot.
Not this time.
I forgot what country it is, but make jail more of a rehabilitation center.
It was, I think, it's El Salvador.
Yeah, El
The
Salvador.
president there, what they do is the people that are arrested, they literally rehabilitate them. They prepare them to go out. They teach them how to do CPA. They teach them how to make. They teach their people. It's a wonderful thing that they're doing. They really rehabilitate. They could get their college degrees. They take the criminals and they work on farms and stuff and learn how to do agriculture. It's a phenomenal program that he's doing. But that's not what they want here in the United States. That's not what they want. But we need to look at our prison system. We need to look at the judiciary system, how all the injustices that are going on towards black people. People need to be held responsible for inmates being raped by other men. That needs to stop. All these elected officials, they care more about people who aren't non-citizens than they do about American citizens, and we're the ones that's putting them in the office. That needs to stop. And we do need to look at policy. I'm not about identity politics. I'm about policy from now on. And I don't know what's going to happen in 2026 and the next election 2028, but this direction that Trump is going in, he's going to lose the black vote now. The black vote that's come over to the Republican Party, that he had more of the black vote, I think they said, and I don't know, like he had more of the black vote, I think, than when Reagan was running for office, whatever they said. And he's going to lose that. Because people are, this has already happened before, and we see it, and he's saying the same thing that he accused Biden of saying and doing. And now he wants to do it to the black community because one Doge guy got beaten up. One person got beaten up, not killed, got beaten up, and he flipped because his boy Elon didn't like that. He flipped, he freaked out. But all the people that's being shot down and killed by white people, he doesn't even talk about it. Don't even bring it up. Today, all those cops got killed yesterday, and he didn't bring it up. He talking about Chicago. And they could solve that crime. And what the governor was saying is that they removed millions of dollars. Like, I think, it was $836 million. They're supposed to go to programs or whatever. They removed the money. So what do you think is going to happen now? They're not even trying to help. So they wanted to escalate to prove a point. Because then the people become desperate because there are no resources at all. But we give it to people that come in non-citizens. But the people that are here, we don't want to use those same tax dollars, my tax dollars, to help the vets that are on the streets, the homeless Americans that are on the streets, and the communities that need the help. But we're going to give it to everyone except Americans. And if you don't know, I'm about America first. I'm about America first. You got to take care of your own house. And if we can't find people to help and support us, then we're going to have to really think about our votes in the future. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. God bless you. We will be putting up other things. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. We're going to get some more moderators. I know people don't like it, but y'all have to go to channels that they don't want to solve. Leaders,
that make you feel good.
Leaders, they want to resolve problems. I'm a leader. We got to have resolution. Solve the problem. Don't put a Band-Aid on it. We got to solve these problems because they perpetuate. They keep going on and on and on and on. And nobody's solving the issues. We need to solve the issues. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. God bless you. Like I said, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Y'all can leave your comments because I can't see anything that y'all putting up. Like when we in the chat, it'd be thousands of comments, and like I think our last one we just did a couple of hours ago, it was like 90 something thousand people was on, but we do up to like 200,000 a stream. So
you lucked out because we're ending the stream now.
Yes, anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. It's late. I didn't realize it was this late, but I feel as though this is important. We got to put a light on what's really happening. You can't just go along to get along. You got to put a light on it so we got resolution so that we can all achieve our goals in life. All achieve our goals. You know, that America is good for all of us. All of us.
Someone says, stay safe, sister.
Yeah, God bless you guys. You stay safe. Y'all stay safe out here. You know, we got Jesus. He said, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. You know, you got to put your trust in God because, like, we're living in the last days, and people, they, you know, they not right. But everybody can, you know, try to live the life that God has given them.
And I know this is different than the topic, but that's why it's so hard to be a Democrat because they do things just against God. Like,
well, they don't go with, that's what, like, once they start moving away from God, same-sex marriages, men and women's sports, you know, promoting transgender and all that, God is not in that. Abortion, you know, that start moving away. The party changed to being less about God and more about the flesh, more about man. So I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know what's gonna. Hopefully, there'll be another party, or we'll have leaders that are really for all the people. That's all I want. Be for all the people. Be for all the people. That's all. The past is the past. We can't change the past, but we can do something about the future, and that's what I see. Be about all the people. That's all. Anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. God bless you. And hope to see you back on another stream. And just stay prayed up. You know, God is good. And the church says all the time, God is good.
All the time.
You know, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe. And y'all can come back, leave comments. Tell people about Speak the Truth 2.0.